Become a channel member to gain early access to all FiveM scripting videos. Hey guys, it's Alpha, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to configure your FiveM server so it is optimized and you've got all the unnecessary files removed, and it's also a good practice to do if you're going to be following my programming tutorials in the future, just so everything is in the same format as mine, so it's easier for you to follow along. So we'll start off by going to our server directory, and then we can go into where we've got our server.cfg. In here, you may have a .gitignore and a readme.md. You can get rid of both of those because they're completely useless for our use case. And also we're going to customize our server.cfg quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new file called resources.cfg. Like so. And then we're going to open both of these with code. So what we're going to do in the server.cfg is cut all of our resources that are started in here and paste them into our resources.cfg. The reason that we're doing this is basically so that we don't have to go into our server.cfg every time to add a resource into our server. What we do need to do though, just so that this resources.cfg does run, we can do it anywhere in the server.cfg really. We're just going to do exec for execute and then resources.cfg like so, and we'll save that, and then that will run the resources.cfg file. And then we can also save this so it just runs these basic resources. Now if we head into our resources directory, you'll see that we've got a bunch of things in here, but not all of them are actually running. So if we check in here, these are the actual 7 resources that are running. So if we go into a directory like test, this will have example load screen and FiveM. We don't actually need either of these. We can just delete this because neither of them are running in here. In gameplay, we've got chat and chat theme GTA Online. So with this is the default chat that most FiveM servers are using. And GTA Online is the different chat that GTA Online uses. So if you've played GTA Online before, if you look at that chat, that's the theme that one is. If you want to, you can switch over to this one. You do need to stop running that one though. So if you wanted to change, you could just grab that name, and in here you could change that to theme GTA like so, and that will run the GTA chat instead of the regular one. We've also got things like player names, player data, and examples. These are all not used, but if you want to mess around with them just to learn a bit more about FiveM resources, I'd highly advise doing so. So we're just going to delete these for now, like so. We can also delete the local directory because that's just got a .git keep. Map manager and spawn manager are both started, so we can leave those. And in system, we can also get rid of session manager RDR3. And then we can leave everything else that's currently in there. So now that we've done that, it's a lot more clean in here. We've only got a couple resources that we actually need. And then if we run the server, just like usual, through the start.bat, everything should be working perfectly fine. Yep. So we can close that back down. And now I'm just going to explain the difference between starting and ensuring resources in your resources.cfg. So basically, if you're running the chat, for example, if I did start chat, that will try to run the resource. But if it has any dependencies that aren't started, it won't start the resource. If I ensure it, like I've done up here, that will check that it's got any dependencies. If it does, it will make sure that those dependencies run first before trying to run the chat. So it's basically in the name. If you ensure it, it's ensuring that the resource will run no matter what. Obviously, if the dependency isn't there, it won't run. But if it is recognized, it will just run that dependency first. So you may be asking, what's a dependency? Well, I'll show you. So if I find the chat resource, and then go into the fxmanifest.lua. As you can see, it says dependencies. We've got yarn and webpack, which are 2 other resources in the system builders directory. So we've got webpack and yarn, but as you can see in the resources.cfg, neither of those are started. So if I just did start chat, it wouldn't work. But if I delete that and then just use ensure chat, what it will do is it will start webpack and yarn before starting the chat. So I'm going to give you an example of doing that by deleting the server cache. And now if I run the server, on the console just here, as you can see, it's starting the resource yarn and starting the resource webpack because chat needs to start. So it'll say running build task on resource chat. It will restart once completed. So obviously it can't restart it just yet, but once yarn and webpack has started, it now starts the resource chat. So you may be thinking, oh, I should always use ensure instead of start. Not exactly. If you're just trying to test some things and you don't want other resources to start, then I would advise using start. However, if you do want a resource to always start, yes, use ensure. Another good practice is in your resources directory, create a new folder called template resource or something along those lines. This will be easier to copy and paste if you're trying to make a new resource. And then in here, you can create the default fx manifest.lua. And then within there, we can just create everything that we need to do. So there are 3 different FX versions that you may use. So there are Cerulean, there's also Bodacious, and there is also Adamant. Those are the 3 main FX versions, but the most up-to-date one is Cerulean, and that's the one that I advise using. There are different use cases for each one. If you want to go into deeper detail into which one, you can always search up on the FiveM documentation and what each one is specifically designed to be used for. We're also going to define the game as GTA 5. And we can also add author. Obviously, you can put your name there. I'll just put Alpha. You could do version. So version 1.0. And then we've also got description. A template resource, and then we can do client scripts like so, and also server scripts. Obviously there are other things in here that you could add, like files, for example. If you're doing HTML, you could also do loading underscore screen if you're doing a loading screen, but obviously if you're just doing a default template resource, this should be enough. You could also add in a client.lua, like so, and also a server.lua. Brilliant, and that's a good example of a template resource. Now with what we've just done, there will be no difference when you're running the server and you're actually within the server. It will still be a completely default server. Obviously, depending on what method you use to install FiveM, depending on what method you use to install your server, you may have things like txadmin, or if you're doing it through FiveM, if you're doing it through Zap hosting, you may have some other default resources that they advise adding in. But in terms of the changes that we've just made, there'll be no difference within the server. It's just optimizing your workspace for when you're developing. But that is everything for today's tutorial. It was just configuring the server, making sure that everything is ready for the next tutorials coming up. As always, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, share it with your friends, and be sure to join the support Discord server, which will be linked at the top of the description, to talk to the community and get involved with the upcoming projects. Thank you and goodbye.